Hello! How are we doing? Hope we're having an amazing day so far. Thomas Heppel here. I thought I'd do a video on something I've just been thinking about recently, which is how to be a successful gigging musician. Now, before I start waffling on about anything and everything, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a background, just so you know that you're getting a video of someone that kind of knows what they're talking about. I've been gigging professionally now for about 3 years. I've been quite a few bands. I've got my own band as well, which we've done songs like this. And yes, I know, I just can't let go. And songs like that. Oh, I'm hurting, bleeding, I'm gonna remember. And they've been played on Planet Rock and BBC, as well as like Jazz FM and across the world, which is pretty cool. I also got nominated for a couple of awards recently, which is pretty cool. So I guess it must show that I might be doing something right. But yes, I thought I'd just share my musical knowledge of how to be a successful gigging musician. Now, what I mean by this is basically someone that gigs and not necessarily does it for a living. It could be someone that just gigs maybe once or twice a month and they're just very good at what they do. So it's more about how to have a successful gig. And this could be for solo musicians as well as people in a band. So I'm going to narrow it down to 5 things, basically. Things that I believe most musicians should have. And again, it's more from my experience rather than it being, this is the way, kind of thing. So yeah, if you are a musician that's watching this and gig yourself, please share your ideas in the comments. Maybe there's things I haven't thought of. But I guess this is kind of aimed at the people that are probably thinking of taking up gigging for the first time, or might be in a band. And yeah, see what you think. Hopefully this video will help. Okay, so the first thing I believe every musician should have, and personally for me this is non-negotiable, they need a car. Guys, if you're a musician and you want to gig, get yourself a car. I've done gigs where before I had a car and I had to bring everything on the bus and then had to walk for like half an hour to the actual place with all my equipment. It was an absolute nightmare. So guys, please invest in a car, because then you are reliable. You don't have to worry about public transport. You get everything in your car and you know you're going to get there pretty much. Touch wood, I've never had any issues getting to a gig with my car. And I know some people probably say, well, I might live in a city, or they might have a backline at the venue so I can get the train. To be honest, there's only been one gig which I've done where I've only got the train in, and that was probably Ronnie Scott's, just because it was a small set and I just needed my guitar and they had everything else there. But everything else, I've had to bring my PA, my amp, my guitars, everything. So get a car, be reliable. It just makes you look more professional. You worry less, and yeah, it's just easier. It's just easier. So get yourself a car. 2. Okay, this probably goes more for possibly people that run a band or maybe are a solo musician, and that is to have a PA. PA, basically, it's the system that you have in order to amplify yourself in a venue. Yeah, have a good, decent PA. There's a variety of options. The one that I use, and it's been always reliable, and it's not a plug, this is something that I just use for experience. For my solo stuff, I use a Yamaha Stage Pass 400 watt. And then for my band gigs, I use Mackie Thumps, which are, again, brilliant. They're solid. So yeah, you want to make sure you have a reliable PA system. Don't just rely on having a speaker or an amp, or a busking amp. Don't bring a busking amp into a venue. I mean, unless it's very, very intimate, like we're talking like a room, that's probably fine. But if you're going to gig in rowdy pubs or clubs, which most of the time have their PA anyway, you want your own PA. So make sure you get your own PA that is loud enough and is reliable. Number 3, and probably something you might not have thought of, and I didn't when I first started gigging, is to have insurance. Guys, please insure yourself. So you get public liability insurance. In essence, if no one knows what that is basically if your music is so spicy and so good that it causes a fire, you are basically covered for the damage that happens there. So yeah, basically get liability insurance. That means you're covered, no one can sue you, and the venue will be happy that you're covered, and you won't have to pay millions and millions of pounds if like the worst comes to worst. That was something fairly new that I learned about 3 years ago when I started gigging. So yeah, you want to make sure you covered yourself, and cover your instruments as well, because that means they're protected. And if, let's say, someone decides to grab your microphone or try and grab your guitar, which has happened to me, and the worst happens where they break it, you're covered. And also make sure your equipment is PAT tested. PAT testing is basically when you see equipment, it's got like the sticker on it saying it's safe to use. So they check your cables and that. I do that with everything. So you want to make sure you're going to a venue with your 100-watt Fender valve amp and know that it's safe to use in the venue, because the last thing you want it to do is blow up. Yeah, it just makes you look more professional as well. So if you go to venues and you say you're insured and you have PAT tested equipment, it just makes you look more reliable, and they'll be more inclined to have you in their venue to perform. The fourth thing that you need to be a successful musician, and it is an absolute no-brainer, you need an actual instrument. So yeah, you want to make sure that you have an instrument that is reliable. So you don't want anything that's cheap, that's just going to break straight away, or it's going to sound rubbish. You want to put on a good quality performance. So you want to have a decent guitar. You want to have a keyboard that's easily portable. Again, you want a rig that is reliable, that is solid, that is loud enough. So yeah, you want to make sure you have a good quality instrument and something that will look and suit you for the performance. So make sure you have a good quality instrument. And the last thing I want to say is, to be a successful gigging musician is to practice your stuff. Woo-hoo. Please, for the love of God, don't go into a performance not knowing what you're doing. It is scary. I've been there. You know, I've been there in performances where I haven't done enough practice, and I've forgotten the lyrics, I've forgotten the parts, and I was standing there like a deer in headlights in front of 200 people. It is awful. You don't want to go through that. So go through your stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you need to make sure that you know what you're doing and that you're happy with it. Which leads on to another thing: enjoy it. Okay, guys, you're not going to be a successful gigging musician if you hate it. All right, it's a lovely thing to do, to perform live and be successful with it. So make sure you enjoy it, and yeah, just love every minute of it, because not everyone gets to perform for a living. So in a nutshell, the things you need: a car. Please get a car. 2, have a decent PA. 3, make sure you're insured and covered and that your equipment is PAT tested. 4, make sure you have a good quality instrument with you. And 5, make sure you practice your stuff, you got a good amount of songs to play, and that you enjoy it. Guys, I hope this video has been good for you, and if there's anything else you want to talk about, just leave me a comment below. Stay tuned for other videos, because I've got a few ideas coming up. Look after yourselves. Hope to see you at one of my gigs soon. Come to our website, thomasheppel.com, for all your gigging updates and whatnot. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Cheers!